Hello, I am Debbie McKeever, founder and owner of Strong and Healthy Temple. I am back with part 2 of the wilderness experience, and I did warn you in the prelude video that I might be wearing the same outfit in a lot of these, because I'm recording them as I get the ideas for them. So in part 2, I wanted to talk about Jesus being tempted of Satan while he was in the wilderness. And when you think about the Christ, I don't want you to think about it as a person or a deity. I want you to think about it in terms of your own oneness with the Creator, your own I amness, your own divine self. And when you think about the devil or Satan, don't think about a horn-rimmed creature that's, waiting to burn you up in a pit. I want you to think about it in terms of the adversary. The word Satan in the Hebrew is Hashatan, and it means the adversary. And although your adversary can and will come, in human form, I want you to think in terms of your own mental state. And so the adversary is your own mind, your negative thoughts, your opposing words, your fears, your doubts. So the adversary in this case is your mind. And so what happened is Jesus was on a 40-day fast. He was abstaining from food and water for 40 days. And so I want you to think of it in terms of your wilderness experience, your dry season, not that you're necessarily on a physical fast. And so at the end of your towards the end of your dry period, like it was for Jesus, along comes the adversary, your mind, to tempt you, to cast in that doubt. The first thing that the adversary did to challenge the Christ's oneness with the Creator was, if you are the Son of God, then turn these stones into bread. And so that is your mind challenging you that if you truly are one, with the Creator, if God is truly within, then say, for instance, if you are fighting a chronic illness, your mind might say something like, well, then heal yourself, if you're truly one with God. Or if you're going through financial hardship, fill your bank account up with money, since you're, your God being expressed as yourself, do this, do that. Your mind is challenging you basically to treat your oneness with divine as if it is a magic wand. And your mind might even remind you that, everything that God did it instantly. Like he was able to create, the world in 7 days. And I talked about this in another video, but the way that we see time is different than, it is with God. There is not any time in God. And 2 Peter tells us that one day is as 1,000 years with God. And so we don't know for certain that the world was created in 7 days and what we think of 7 days to be, versus one day could have been 1,000 years, or it could have been an hour. Like we don't have any concrete evidence of the exact time frame, the way that we look at time and the way that we look at days of the week. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it was instant, although things can happen instantly. And I gave an example of that in a previous video as well. But your mind will start to challenge your I amness by tempting you of certain things. The second temptation was when Satan took Jesus on the roof of the temple and told him to throw himself down. So basically, if you're the Son of God, you should be able to throw yourself down. And then what he did was he misquoted. He took a scripture out of context in Psalms 91 and said, God will send his angels to protect you. Well, yes, you are one with God, but you also have to have common sense. Just because you claim yourself to be healed doesn't mean that you're going to go like in the COVID ward and have people to cough in your face and believe that you're not going to contract COVID. I'm a person where I don't believe that I can be sick, and as a result of that, I never am sick, like not even the common cold. But I've built my faith to that point that I don't believe that sickness can reside in my body. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and inject myself with some deadly disease just because I don't believe that I can be sick. So, there's a difference between, belief and not using your common sense and doing something stupid. And the third temptation was when he took him on the top of a high mountain and showed him all the glories of the world and said, you can have all this and all you have to do is worship me. Well, that goes back into us looking outside of ourselves and looking externally and looking at all the glories and trying to fast track our way, to whatever it is that we're believing for. We're trying to do it in our carnal strength and our physical strength instead of using the power that's within. And so then we start bowing down to the things of the world, so to speak, because we're looking at all these external things, and we may end up doing something dumb or even illegal because we want what we want and we want it now. And so what the Christ did was he challenged the adversary with the word. And that's what you have to do when your mind starts to come against you. You have to come against that adversary, which is your own, negative thoughts and doubts, with the word. And it doesn't have to be a scripture. I'm not talking about quoting a scripture. I'm just saying stand on your own beliefs, stand on your affirmations. And when your mind starts attacking itself and coming in with those negative doubts, then you start to oppose that with the positive thoughts and affirmations and the positive words. Just remind yourself, that I am healed, I am rich, or, I am in, this relationship, or whatever it is that you're believing for. When you're in that wilderness period, like I talked about in part 1, it is designed to build you up, to build that spiritual muscle. And it may take a physical fast, and not necessarily fasting from food, but fasting from television and Netflix and social media, and fasting from people with negative attitudes, and separating yourself from drama and gossipers and all that kinds of stuff. Going into the silence and going into that wilderness state to build yourself up. So part of being in the wilderness is not just, going through something difficult. Part of that is, going into the silence, separating yourself from everything that's going on, shutting out the world and shutting out the noise, and just really focusing on your I amness, on your oneness from God, and hearing, from the divine and receiving those divine instructions. And when the adversary comes against you, then you'll be better equipped to do the same thing that Jesus did, is, cast the adversary aside. He said, "Get thee behind me, Satan," and eventually, the devil went away. And that's what will happen. Those negative thoughts will go away as you build up and learn how to stand firm on what you're believing for. So that is a wrap for part 2, a lot more brief than what part 1 was. So anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon to receive notifications as I release new videos and as I release videos in this series. Thank you for watching. Make it a fantastic day.